Hi there, I'm Carter Michael, the writer and creator of Deity, a superhuman story, and I am so excited to be bringing you this series of videos documenting how I adapt a screenplay that I wrote into a comic book. The story takes place in a fictional country called Valhalla, which is run by superhumans known as deities. And when a young deity girl develops the ability to take away deity powers, a young government official must decide whether to protect her life or protect his country. I am a first-time comic book writer, never written a comic before in my life, and I'm also not an illustrator, which means I had to hire an artist, Eunice S.D, in order to do the art for me. So you're gonna get some insight into how I think about story, how I think about it through the comic book medium, also how I storyboard for my artist, and also how I write a script.
And you can also see how I go from this to this, and then finally to this.
So it's gonna be a fun ride. I forgot, I also feel compelled to say that I've already outlined everything because I've already written the screenplay. I already know the story. You're gonna see me turning that story into the comic script itself. So outline your stories. Don't skip that part. It's probably the most important part. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna try to do here is follow our rule of thirds when we're trying to make our panels. So we're gonna try and split this up into 3 even parts. And we don't need to be too specific because Eunice is gonna take care of that on their end. So the first thing I want to do, this is going to be the very first page. So since this is going to be about a society where the deities or the superhumans are in control, we're going to show the very symbol of them being in control, which is, of course, a flag. What's going to be interesting is we're going to zoom in order to get in a closer look on this flag. So we're going to start with kind of, and this is where you're gonna see that I'm not an artist. We're gonna start with the Capitol building of the United States. Of course, it's not gonna be the United States anymore. It's gonna be Valhalla, where the deities live, but we're not gonna know that. So we're just gonna go ahead and make sort of a flag here. Doesn't have to be a great flag again because, you know, this is the trial and error part, of course. All right, then we're gonna zoom in on the flag. So we're gonna try and preserve our rule of thirds. We're gonna try and go in a nice diagonal here. And this should be shifted over to the right. Do you see how we don't get that nice diagonal? It's going like diagonal and then going too big. Luckily, this is what the artist is for. Eunice can fix all this mess that I'm doing. And see, this is why, if you're not an artist, you need to hire an artist. Otherwise, it's gonna look like that. And that's not as fun. Okay, so this next part is gonna be much easier. This part's gonna be much easier because it's a 2-page spread, which is less work for me, more work for Eunice, unfortunately. Here's what we're gonna do. For this 2-page spread, we're not gonna worry so much about the rule of thirds, and that's because we're gonna make this thing symmetrical. So the rule of thirds is good if you're working with asymmetrical things. You have a thing here, and a thing here. But if things are symmetrical, like if my face were perfectly symmetrical, if I'm right in the center, that's fine because the eye likes seeing, oh, these things match. But if things aren't symmetrical, you want to use the rule of thirds. So here we're going to try and keep things as symmetrical as possible. We're going to have, since this is going to be what used to be Washington, D.C., we're probably going to do the National Mall. I feel like Bob Ross. It's like, maybe we got a happy little Capitol building back here. And so what I'm gonna do is what's helpful for my artist is going to be getting them a photo of what the Capitol should actually look like, so they don't have to go on my crappy drawing. They can just see, okay, this is sort of the perspective Carter wants, but I can use the actual buildings themselves in order to get some specific detail. We've got zooming in on that flag, which Eunice will actually make look good. Things are laid out. This is kind of our setting. It's going to be 2-page spread. All right, you'll see it after it is illustrated.
You're so sweet.